Welcome everyone to this week's, the very last Tim Talk of 2020. We will be taking a break December 22nd and 29th, and we will happily be returning January 5th as we would hopefully kick off 2021, and we will get better together then. Thank you so much. I'm excited to have the one and the only, the very snappily dressed, is that even a word? Snappy dressed Dan Moore with us today. Actually, one of the most, as far as feedback, as far as, hey, this is great. I know that some of you choose to watch live. I know most of you are watching this on either LinkedIn or Facebook or some other post. So thank you for making Tim Talk such a success. And we truly, we're nothing without you. So thank you. And a very dapper Dan, if I may say so myself. Oh brother, where art thou movie made Dapper Dan famous, that hair gel, and Dan Moore is crushing that with his book, Do More, Get More, The Road to You by Dan Moore. Very nicely done. So today, if you would like a copy of Dan's book, please email timtalks@carnow.com and just give us your name and your address, and we'll be happy to ship that to you. Now, the one and only, if we could have Dan Moore, if you'll come on, my friend, I'm so thankful to have you on. And, just we have a great time together. And listen, if you really want to get better and close out, I know we only have roughly 2 weeks left of 2020, but these are some things that, these 3 things that Dan's going to share with you today. I really believe if you're gonna stick by them, you're going to absolutely sell more, make more, and do more in 2021. Dan, did you like the way I did that? Did you like that tie-in?
I saw that. Nice subtle plug. You do a better job at it than I do.
Plug. Awesome, Dan. So let's just catch up. I mean, how, for starters, how have you been? What are you working on? Kind of give us an update of Dan Moore, Vistadash. Obviously, if you don't know, I know most of you do. Dan's been around the automotive space for a very, very, very long time. He was the VP of sales for companies like Vin Solutions and others. So he knows digital marketing backwards and forwards, and has had the privilege to speak to thousands and thousands of dealers and people, quite frankly, through his career. And now presently is the president of Vistadash. So give us an update, man. What's going on?
It's been fun times, as we all know. So it's been interesting to just look at the data that we see in Vistadash, looking at, what is the right way to approach, 2021. So for us, we're just looking at how do we continue to consume data, digest it down, and make it easy for the dealers out there to really kind of make, actionable adjustments to what they're doing in their store to help them sell and service more cars.
Yeah. And that's a big part of some dealer groups that we were looking at, especially March, April, May. A lot of dealers were thinking, well, goodness, I mean, do I throw away OTT? What do I do? Do I throw away all traditional? Do I throw away digital? Because nobody really knew, and you really don't know unless you have a roadmap. So obviously companies like Vistadash do a fabulous job of that. Well, listen, given the time we have, man, let's just jump right into it.
Let's have some fun. These were some 3 good ones.
Yeah, we've got 3 good ones. 3 good ones that you wanted to talk about. And one of them is near and dear to my heart. I actually was getting my car serviced today, and I won't mention the name, but a dealership that has a phenomenal service department. But as I know, nobody knew who I was. It's not, quite frankly, it's not even one of my stores. It was just convenient for me to get my car serviced there. And I was walking around, and I saw the same old thing that we always see across, I would say, the majority of showrooms in the country. There was 5 salespeople actually at their desk, 4 of which was looking at their own personal phones going through. One was on YouTube, one was on Facebook, one was, they're just sitting idly by at their desk when they're supposed to be working. One person was actually having a phone call with a customer. And that leads us to your first point, which I'm just going to tee you up. This is the way we've always done it. And this is the way we've always done it, to me, means, I'm going to come in 1989, I was taught by all the other salespeople around, you come in, you smoke your cigarettes, and back then you read your paper and you sit down and you wait for people to come on the lot, and that's just what you do. So why don't you unpack that first one? Because quite frankly, whether we want to admit it or not, whether we do it or not, that's what modern dealer USA, even right now, is doing. This is the way we've always done it, and we're pretty successful. This is the way we're going to continue to do it.
And I'm going to take it a little bit broader as I unpack it too. It's not just dealers, it's vendors as well. It's us,
yes.
Right? It's the vendor partners.
Thank you for calling us out. It's absolutely, absolutely right. Yeah.
Yeah. So, sometimes I feel like on the vendor side, it's always give the dealer the black eye syndrome of, hey, let me tell you everything you're doing wrong. And they're the ones running the business.
Thank you for calling me out, Dan. I appreciate that.
No problem. That's what I do. I'm calling I'll call anybody
without
out.
sin cast the first stone. You just clubbed me square in the head. So that works. That's good. I need it. Somebody needs to.
Here we go. So I'll just spend the rest of my time getting those jabs in there. But no, I think, we take COVID and we kind of unpack it, right? I mean, everybody started hearing about it, but I always say in the trying time is the best lesson. And when you think about the critical point of what it is for the dealerships out there, it's inventory, and then it's the marketing piece. What are you doing to drive, people into your store for sales and service? And then finally, it's the people in the process. And I think that the thought process of it's the way we've always done it, it's the way we've always looked at it, becomes challenging because, we'll just pick on for a second paid search, if you will. It's an easy target. If, you're running low on inventory, but yet you're running model ads for every car you have, got to pause for a second and say, is that the right strategy at this current time? I think part of the challenge as we go into, actually, I should say the positive that we should look at going into 2021 is we need to look at everything closer and faster. We've got to be able to look at how are we positioned in the market, and then how should we respond, meaning with our dollars, to get the result we're looking for. And we've got to, sometimes come off the fact of, well, this is the way it's always been done. We do dynamic ads, we do this. Well, if you don't have the inventory, none of that matters. So I have to kind of even go back a little bit and back my way into, do I need to do, geo-targeted ads around certain areas where I can feel like I can, have some success? Do I focus on my brand a little bit more in that time so it helps sales and service? Because again, I don't have all the inventory. So I think again, it's just rethinking and being aware of everything that you're doing, but it's starting with the key point. And I think sometimes we lose part of inventory, right? If you're not paying attention to the inventory, you're not communicating to your vendor partners about inventory and where you're positioned in the market, then you just get the kind of same old kind of strategy, which may not pan out for the results that you're looking for.
Yeah, I think that's big. And I'm going to ask you a question that I ask everybody. So, you go into a dealership and you're not a brand new GM, but you're a GM, and maybe the dealership is slightly, it's a decent store, but it's slightly underperforming. And, that the dealership is doing business the way they always have. What are a few things that you do when you sit behind the desk for the first time?
Yeah, I think it's critical always, first and foremost, it's people and process. What are we doing? I mean, everybody wants to go after the quick and easy. I mean, we see it on this side. I mean, our standard joke is, oh, here comes a new GM. They're going to cancel everything, right?
Yep. New broom sweeps clean. We've all heard it.
Yep. Well, I think part of the bigger thing is more or less, let's figure out where the process and opportunities are inside the house before we go anywhere else. So for me coming in, I'd be focusing on, the people, the process, and then obviously, what are the mechanics around the business? What's our inventory? What's the competitive set against our inventory versus the guys down the street? I want to know the lay of the land and look at the data before I start getting out the broom. I think sometimes I kind of always make this joke with a lot of the different things, and I know this. If we talk about websites or chat or whatever, it's sometimes we just cancel it because somebody else was doing something better, or we heard in a 20 group that this chat provider was better, but we never really evaluated what we really were getting. And I think that really kind of is the first step of any manager coming in any industry is don't be quick to just lay the broom out. Take a second, look at the lay of the land, get some data, and then start making some decisions once you understand what's going on. Because again, there's not like coming in and coming with a broom and then all of a sudden you go, well, what happened? Well, I don't know. You just blew everything out. So I can't tell you what you broke along the way. You just blew it all out. So you really got to lean in the data, which obviously will get in our number 2, but still sticking to number 1. I think it's just important to understand people, process, and the data, and then start making the bigger swings on decision making.
Which leads to number 2, which probably even, thank you for bringing up that point. This is so true in our business too. I know it's true in your business. You've got to figure out what's working. And if something's not working, why would you throw money? And it's easy to do. And it might be easy to do. I am without sin here. I used to do this because I liked my rep. I was probably spending too much on Auto Trader, and I'm not to call out Auto Trader. I had a fabulous rep. I had an amazing, and I was watching the numbers and it was working for me, but did I really need that? I don't even know if they still call them the same things. That alpha ad, did I really need, all these things that was throwing?
I think alpha still is a thing. Yes. It's
okay.
Still a thing. I saw it come through the other day.
This isn't a downplay. I've got a lot of friends at Cox and look, it worked great for us. But what I'm saying is, maybe it's a different program that Trader or cars.com or somebody has that could be working better other than that particular thing. And if you can't measure it, then it doesn't matter. I think this is quite frankly the most important thing that any GM, any sales manager, any CMO can do. And that is truly measuring what is working. Because, number 2, I've kind of phrased it, if you can't measure it, it doesn't matter. I think you worded it a little different way, but that's kind of what you do. So let's unpack. I'm curious because you see this, you're the expert in this field. You see this on a daily basis with, the ABC Toyota that sells, 80 cars a month. And I know you have clients that sell 1,000 cars a month. So,
right.
So unpack that a little bit for us.
Yeah, no. And I'll segue into, kind of even playing on the Auto Trader third party game. I mean, by no means, we all want to be experts, but I continue to just be a student of the game, if you will. And when you look at the data, it's funny because I can tell you, and I get this all the time, right to the point, Dan, which third party is the best? Who should we cancel? Well, it's always this just, go. And some of the industry folks out there, constantly, put some negative shade to third party providers. And I think that's unfortunate because regardless of what your feeling is, and again, this is the difference between data and emotion. We can emotionally not like the fact that someone's getting in our pocket and taking money from us, right? The word extortion runs in the dealerships quite frequently. I've been on both sides of it, right? So you look at it from that, and so you now have an emotion, right? But the data would tell you that the consumers go to these sites, and that's where they do their that's where they start their shopping because they get to consume at mass volume really quick. It's so different than, when I lived in Sacramento, the Roseville Auto Mall, people would drive through the auto mall. Why? Because everything's in one spot. They could go look at everything. So that convenience for the consumer, and that's the consumer experience, right? So they go to these sites. To say which one is better is kind of laughable because they all have different strategies and different functions. For example, Car Gurus, if you price to market and you're really good on, hey, you want to turn your inventory and you're very, smart in how you go about that, Car Gurus will pay dividends. If you're kind of like, hey, I'm going to mark my cars up, I trade it in, put $5,000 on it, and I walk it down over 90 days, Car Gurus is probably not going to be your poison. You're going to look at Trader or Cars.com. There's just, and then in different markets, they have different cause and effect. And I see this all the time. But in the end, they all do work, just in different combinations.
Right.
And I think it's important too, because there's a missing step in this. Everybody's like, well, I look at their reports and it's not very fruitful. It's like, and then I hear, well, my website's my highest converting. Yeah, well, you're driving all your marketing to your website. So yes, it should be. But the part you're missing, because you don't see it, is how many of those customers that came to your website and converted, because again, in your CRM, and this is another problem, lack of better exposure. CRM just says website. It's kind of like we used to joke around, hey, you got weak, you logged it as a drive-by, right?
I put too weak to ask.
Yeah, well, too weak to ask is now website, right? It's just in a different form. Because in the end, we can see, hey, no, actually, you had 15 conversions. They either, started a text, a chat, a form filler, called you from Auto Trader, from Cars.com, from Car Guru. So you can start seeing this stuff. And that's when you start making better decisions. Because if you're just looking at this one piece, then you're missing the boat. And then if you're not really looking at the effectiveness of dollars, you're also missing the boat. I mean, heck, I had a client spending, $8,000 on used car paid search that wasn't yielding in the return. And then he's talking about canceling third parties. I'm like, we should be talking about canceling this campaign that you're paying $8,000 on, because the third parties that you're paying a fraction. It was on all 3 third parties for about that same dollar amount. And the volume of leads and conversions to sales was much higher. And his cost per sale was higher, was lower than what it would be on Google, because there was nothing coming across. So you've really got to weigh the effectiveness and not just drink the Kool-Aid of everybody selling you something. Because here's the thing that I think that we kind of get hung up on is we look at cars.com and car gurus and we say, oh, they're just taking more money from us, this and that. But what do you think Google and Facebook are doing? It's the same thing. So they're all in the pot of your marketing dollars. They're all fighting for it. The question is you just have to be strategic as to what mix, and really look at the data to what mix is going to get you the yield you're looking for.
I'm glad you brought up Facebook. And quite frankly, this was off script, and not that we have a script. We just have points that we want to touch. But what I would like your thoughts, because I see it more and more, and I have used it personally myself to sell my son's Jeep, to look for, I'm one of those guys. In fact, we share that passion. You have a Jeep Wrangler, Rubicon. I have the same car, same Jeep, and we love that. And we're just, us and millions of others are weird that way. But Facebook Marketplace. So Facebook Marketplace, what are you seeing? I think that's not a lot of people still are very flippant about Marketplace. And I told the story on Tim Talks a zillion times, and people are probably tired of hearing from it. But Bob Lanham himself went to a 20 group, talked about Marketplace. One dealer said it sucked. One dealer was closing at 20% or 80%. The only difference was the dealer closing at 80% was the guy that had people answering them live. So when you look at the numbers, again, no favorites, no nothing. When you're looking at numbers and tagging all these events that are going into Vistadash, what are your thoughts there? I have an opinion of what they're going to be, but what are your thoughts there on Facebook Marketplace as it continues to grow, especially through the pandemic? Just in messaging has grown well over almost 80% from year to year.
Oh yeah. So I'm gonna bundle a couple pieces in this nice little package here. I'm gonna hit on Marketplace, Facebook as a whole, and then Google My Business.
Yeah.
Because really, the 3 of them offer just a great amount of opportunity, and some of it in the sense of why, some of them you pay for, some of them you don't. What you put into it, right? Which will kind of be how we wrap up the day. What you put into it will enhance your return. Meaning, Marketplace, for example, it is fantastic. I mean, from everything from cars to whatever, you can find it, right? It's a community. It works really well. Facebook's done a phenomenal job with it. If you're working it right, meaning you're putting, are you going to sell, a high-end Lamborghini on it? Yeah, maybe. But definitely for the commodity brand, it's kind of like the new Craigslist, if you will.
Right.
I think cleaner, just
easier to use.
It's just easier to use. And then, you say something and then magically you're already getting served something. I mean, funny story. I was talking about when I bought my RV, I was talking about getting a barbecue, and then Facebook serves me up this Marketplace ad for a grill. And I'm like, you gotta be kidding me, but I like it. I mean, who cares about privacy anymore? If you can give me what I want when I don't know what I want, when I think I want it, then, let's call it a win, right?
Yeah.
So that is a tremendous upside with Facebook, regardless of all of the, privacy stuff that everybody gets weird about. The reality of it is why we complain about it. We still love it, because guess what? I didn't have to think about it. It just showed up like you read my mind. So I see a lot of upside in that. And also with Facebook too, and love Bob. I mean, those guys over there are doing some great stuff. And I think that Facebook really has the ability to give a dealer a full lifecycle management platform to play in. When you think about the fact that, with all of the privacy rules coming on, first party data being key, you take your DMS, your CRM, all of those clients, those email addresses and everything, and then you start building lifecycle management campaigns around that and injecting them through your CRM via email and into Facebook, your cost per acquisition will go down exponentially, because it's just pennies now,
compared to dollars.
Will it someday go up? Yes. When everybody's fully embraced into to Facebook, it'll be Google, but it just comes to one of those things, play where you can play and win. And I think there's tremendous upside there. And then you've got Google My Business. Now you're able to kind of manually pump in some inventory. There's some different things that are going on, the way that you can, have a parts one, a sales one. There's a lot you can do. And it's like, it's a free website and it shows up organically. I mean, the number of just what I see, when we look inside, our clients in their Google My Business accounts, we can see just the number of people that are looking, at maps and coming in, the people that are finding them for the first time. I mean, when you look at all of that, just a big win there on the organic play.
No, I really believe that. I see that. And again, it's just, I'll revert back to number one. Number one is, this is the way we've always done it. And, I was one of those people, 7 years ago, 7-ish, 8 years ago, that didn't spend any money on social. And quite frankly, it wasn't as big as it is now, to full disclosure, obviously, and kind of chuckled at it. But now I think you've kind of bumped your head a little bit if you ignore it. The power of social media on Instagram, the power of social media on Facebook, getting your brand out. We've said that on here many times. Experience is your new brand, is the new brand. Getting your brand out to get where people are, serving up that somebody's talking about a new Jeep Rubicon, and all of a sudden it pops up there and it goes directly to your inventory, guys. That's just, it's priceless. And as we get to the third one, this is near and dear to our hearts here. You wanted to talk about, and the cool thing is the things that you say are the same exact things that we're seeing. When you have many dealers and having conversations every single day, from dealers with, on the West Coast, on the East Coast, in Texas and in North Dakota, all over the place. And they're all, all the problems are literally the same for the most part. It's like it's we're our own breed, which we are our own breed. But number three is, just because you bought it doesn't mean you're done. So again, people have heard me talk about this before, but obviously I want to hear your thoughts. Again, and this could be anything, but just because you bought it does not mean you're done.
Yeah, and here's the thing with that one. I love this one. It's near and dear to me because, having been so close to websites for so many years, this constant my website sucks, it's the vendor's problem, or this, it's like, no, just because you bought it doesn't mean you're done. And I think even today in the current topic of kind of what we were talking about yesterday is, when you think about the things that you buy, and we'll end on the best one, which is the one you'll take the plug on here in a second. When you're paid search, just because you're doing paid search, if you're not paying attention and having conversations and talking about your strategy and making sure that the vendor partner is understanding what your strategy is so they can build campaigns that are effective to that, then it's a miss. If you're not, trade-in tools, if you're not leveraging the trade-in tool, just because you bought it, you got to leverage it. You got to tell the customer why they want to click on that button, what they're going to, what to expect. You've got to set the expectation. I remember a long time ago when Auto Trader released Trade-in Marketplace, everybody was like, oh, this is amazing. And then they're like, oh, it sucks, nobody's using it. It's like, well, what are you doing with it? We just put a button on our website. Well, they don't know what that button is. It's new. Consumers you have to explain it. And that's why the Carvanas and the Vrooms, they have their brand campaigns talking about the buying experience, which is really kind of like digital retailing, which is the segue here. They didn't say, hey, we got digital retailing, we got a button on our website. What they talked about is the overall experience. Sit at your house, click a button, the car shows up, right? That's the whole picture. So just because you bought digital retailing, if you didn't make it part of your brand statement, if you didn't give the story of the frictionless buying process, however you want to word it, right? If you're not communicating that to the consumer, then they're still looking at Carvana and some of these other options because they don't mentally believe it exists, because you're not talking about it.
That's why
just because you say it's hassle-free or fast and
doesn't
easy,
mean it is.
No, but those are the words they're running from. They want that brand story. I mean, we really have become more lifestyle driven. So the messaging in a marketing, point has to be more lifestyle driven. You have to reach me, right? You have to really kind of not just say, oh, family owned, hassle free, no haggling. Like that's not the deal anymore. You really have to paint the picture and communicate that. And obviously video is the biggest thing to get that through. So
I would argue that, the dealers, and it's not just one dealer group. There's one dealer group in particular. They've been on here 3 separate times because, they started doing that process and they're literally seeing thousands and thousands of more units sold. That's how you measure. And everybody knows who that is, but there's multiple dealer groups that brand their experience. And when you brand your experience, even if you don't have, look, we're not going to sit here and tell you, because I know this. If you have 20 salespeople, you're going to have over half of them that aren't bought into that whole process. They're going to smoke and joke on the corner. They're going to wait and they're going to talk to their ops. Unless you basically, to steal a phrase from Brian Benstock, either believe in what we're doing or be leaving.
Right.
So, unless you do that, you're going to be half and half. You're going to have half the people that aren't going to be believing it. But what I'm saying is we know some dealer groups, and this is what I want to just get across. Number one, it's not about DR. Quite frankly, if I sat into a dealership tomorrow and I had to choose between a messaging and, flowing AI and customer experience through messaging or DR, I'm picking messaging every time because I look at the numbers. Messaging and that type of thing on our flows sells more cars. But the difference is when 1 + 1 doesn't equal 2, 1 + 1 = 10. But if you're going to let us choose between the two, it's definitely going to be messaging. But when you create that experience, when you have that 30-second, maybe it's a commercial and you're showing the actual process and you're showing the logo, and then you go into the physical dealership, because people still want to go in dealerships. I don't care what anybody says. The dealerships are flooded. I've bought 2 cars in the last 6 months, and the dealership, literally, I had to wait to get waited on. People are still going in. So, when you brand that experience and then you go into the door, and on the glass door, you see that same logo, and then you go inside and you see that same logo, and it was the same thing that you saw online. So one of two things: either you've created your deal and bring it in. That experience takes care of a lot of people, because, depending on the process in the store, even if they're not bought in, because you've already given them a price on the car, you've already given them an estimate of what their trade's worth. You can pull them up very quickly, and then it speeds the deal along. That's, as we close out 2020, that's the one thing that I want to, stress to you is most people have reached out and they're like, oh my gosh, what am I doing wrong? At the end of the day, if you market it correctly and brand your experience, you're not going to get 100%. I don't care who you are. Maybe Ben Stock, but you're not going to get everybody on board 100% of the time. You're going to have those stragglers. But when you do a good job of branding that, customers see how easy it is to flow, and they come in. And quite frankly, we are seeing, our friends at Dealer Inspire, Darren Haygood at the last AAAS, I echo what he said. He's like, look, we're seeing between 200 and 300. I've got dealers, that dealer I just mentioned, $400 higher PVR on those deals. We're not making this up. That's a competitor, but we're close. But
it's an experience, though.
It's an experience. Is exactly right.
It's an experience. What you get down to is this, and 2 points. Number one, if you allow the customer to go on their own journey, which means not I don't control, or I'm going to have to, give away the car. No, just their own journey of how they want to be communicated with, to where they want to do it in the comfort of their home, to when they want to show up in the showroom. Let them be the guide, right? But you just lay down the framework so they can make it easy, right? I can navigate and buy the car, ask the questions, and communicate wherever I want to in the process. That is the customer experience. So yes, it would the value of the experience will drive the gross, because you're basically, let's think about this. We're all liking the same thing. When you go to the airport, you always want to make sure, I got my first class ticket, right? Or I've got my status with whatever.
Well, obviously you fly first class. Some of us don't fly first class.
I don't fly. Trust me.
Anyway,
I'm just a little.
We're moving on.
But what I'm saying is, you strive for that experience. Okay. So your customer wants that same experience when buying a car. I'm spending a lot of money. Make me feel important. So that's the win there. Part two, to your point, when you said half the staff buys in, half the staff that doesn't, it's like, great. half the staff that does, if the number is 20, you now have 10. If you got those 10 people to get on their social media accounts and talk about the amazing
Amen.
experience your dealership has,
Yeah.
that cost you $0, and
Yeah.
you just multiplied it by, I mean, they still, I think Bob, the number Bob said was like, what, 350 is still the number. Average person has 350 friends. Great. I mean, we could do the old, Joe Verdi, cut it in half again. That's still a lot of people, and it costs you nothing. So there's a lot of upside, I think, as we go into 2021 versus, duck and cover. If you just think differently, venture out, see and listen to what the consumer's really wanting and deliver on that, then everything else falls suit.
Yeah, I think that's a great place to close. Listen, guys, land the plane. And, seriously, it depends. I can right now, with what's going on in my life, I've been sitting around a hospital room, eating junky food, and my body has reacted to it. Right. That's why I'm trying to drink a gallon of water, do a cleanse, because I'm, I used to be in shape, but now I'm what I call skinny fat. My arms got skinny and my belly got fat. So I've got to do things about that to correct that, right? So I can see my shoes again. So I have to do that. I can know all about the diet. I can know all about what I'm supposed to do. I can know that I have to drink a gallon of water a day. I can do all of these things, but it's those little foxes that get in there, to quote scripture, that spoil the vine, right? It's those little things. I can cheat today. I don't have to do cardio. I can do that. It's the same thing in business. If we study the course, if we see the goal ahead and we stay the course and we have no cheat days, and we continue to not do the things we've always done, continue to measure. Why are we throwing? It's literally, you're throwing money out the window. Why would you not measure what you're doing and then make sure that if you buy a product, whether that's a DR product or whether you're SEO or SEO, listen, just because you've bought it does not mean you are done. Man, thank you so much, Dan. Any closing remarks before I tell them again what they need to do to get your new book?
Just if there's anything you're hung up on, you can email me at dan@vistadash.com.
Pretty easy.
Always available. Yeah, pretty easy. And I'm here to help in any way.
Yeah, I love that about you, Dan. And true, seriously, I call Dan on many occasions. I have called Dan, I guess that's the proper English. I have called Dan on many occasions to talk through some things and get his perspective. And, that's who we want to bring on Tim Talks, people that don't have egos, that just want to truly help people get better. So with that, thank you so much, Dan. We are going to, listen, enjoy your holiday season with your friends and families. And if you want a copy of Do More, Get More, that strapping young lad in that beautiful pink shirt. I love wearing pink. So I, that's good too, with that great shoe game. If you want to do more and get more, The Road to You, just a fabulous read. We will be happy to give you that as a Christmas or holiday present from your friends at Tim Talks. Listen, thank you guys so much for tuning in today. As always, we wish you a safe and healthy holiday season. And always remember that no one is ever smarter than everyone, and let's continue to get better together. Thank you so much. God bless you guys. Have a great end of the year. Let's crush 2021. Thank you so much.